This is my reflection on Standard 2, Instructional Leadership. I'm going to start with the first question. How is this activity, um, instructional leadership at my school level, um, addressed differently at my current level? So I'm going to start with my current level as a new teacher support coach. Um, Specifically when I observe instruction, which is my whole big part of my role, about 80% of my role is to observe instruction. I'm looking specifically at classroom management, student engagement, collaborative learning environment, and professional relationships. We use a CCI, it's our collaborative collective tool to observe these. We have specific look-fors for each of those. That was built on Jim Knight's information about instructional coaching. We used a tool from that helps us kind of tally the specific engagement in the classroom and what we're looking for. When we then take that information from our observations, we then coach teachers on those specific categories. I am observing instruction and I'm observing at all levels. So I support teachers from pre-K to 12th grade and a wide variety. So I have CTE teachers, encore teachers, teachers who teach welding, teachers who teach mechanics and uh, masonry. So I get to see a wide variety of content. Though I'm not specifically having look-fors directly related to the standards, I am looking at those foundational skills and those engagement factors. How it's different from my level that I'm interning in now at Moorhead Elementary is I'm specifically there looking at content. Now, Moorhead is a magnet school, a magnet art school. And so how they build their foundation of their teaching is all based on the arts. So the arts are the ones that make the schedule. They're the ones that they use their arts standards to then apply them into the classroom. So the content that the teachers are teaching from is arts based. So music, piano, our drama, our two different art classes. Those are the foundation. And then we build on that with the North Carolina teacher evaluation. Mentioned in Basil Bernstein's theory of pedagogic device and formal music schooling, talked about how the arts kind of should serve as the foundation for content, not as a supplemental. And that is something that Moorhead is doing at their school and a part that I get to be a factor in. Another thing that is addressed at my current level and then throughout the district is our Guilford Guarantee. That is a district-wide initiative that was started in 2025, where all students will graduate high school with either college credits, career credentials, or career experience. So they will leave with some type of skill into the real world. The big focus is on our CTE program, and that is something that as a new teacher support coach, I this year received some training on looking specifically at the CTE content. They created a CTE look for document so that I can find and coach teachers alongside of them through what am I looking for in an observation. As an instructional leader, it's very important for me to know and be as much of an expert as I can be in the content that my teachers and my staff are teaching. The question number 2, how does the principal serve as an evaluator with learning as the focus? I want to highlight again the CTE non-negotiable look-fors. That is something that as a coach now I'm utilizing and have had training on. They have 3 parts to their model: explicit instruction and laboratories, career and technical student organizations or co-curricular activities, and relevant career engagement. So I know when I go into that classroom, those are the categories I'm looking for. And then underneath that, those standards that are related to it. Knowing those standards is really important. As a principal, as a instructional leader, being a big part of your school's PLCs, and knowing the standards and knowing what your teacher is going to teach each week, reviewing those lesson plans, having that background knowledge. You may not have taught that before, but getting comfortable with observing and seeing that and knowing what is supposed to be happening in the classroom. How does a principal serve as a learning leader in faculty meetings? One of the biggest things that I have seen with Principal T at Moorhead is that when she does her faculty meetings, and I was just able to be a part of one recently, she brings research-based instructional practices into it. She is the one teaching it or bringing in an expert to teach that, and she is learning through that same process as all of her teachers. She is being able to be observed learning along with them, and that holds her accountable as the instructional leader as the school, showing that this is important and this is valued in our school, and that's what we all need to be able to do. Also providing their staff with continuous professional development and learning themselves, seeking out the support that their school needs help with. How does a principal conduct observations and feedback? I want to highlight again from Jim Knight. He states that research suggests that an effective class and students should be on task more than 90% of the time. I think the North Carolina teacher evaluation, and specifically in my role now, focuses and highlights a lot of student engagement, making sure that our principals are prepared and understand that North Carolina teacher evaluation and what it looks like for our students to be actively engaged in instruction. With specifically those encore and specialist teachers, even if you're not comfortable with that content or you have not taught it before, knowing the standards and how it fits in with those specific evaluation tools that you use in your school. I think even creating your own look for tool related to that, sitting down with the encore teachers to make that happen, is something that an instructional leader can and should do so that it is successful in the school. I want to take this a step further and talk a little bit about my action plan as a future instructional leader, some of the things that I would like to do and make sure take place. And I wanted to mention specifically the article, A Route Less Traveled. As a new teacher support coach, we see, and it's specifically in Guilford County, we have 80% of our teachers alternatively licensed. And we see that principals in our district are not hesitant to hire those teachers, though that study highlighted that often because that is something we have had a trend of for quite some time. And as a coach, the data that we have collected as a team, our teachers who enter as initially licensed their first year compared to alternatively licensed, there is a disadvantage after the first year, but after the third year, an initially licensed teacher and an alternatively licensed teacher have the same playing field across the board. The amount of time that has been put in for that experience, those teachers have equal opportunities now. So the reluctancy to hire alternatively licensed teachers in our district, our data shows that it is beneficial still. Our principals do not have reluctancy. So as a future leader, hopefully in my district, I do not have that perspective. One of the things, a few of the things that I want to do and set in place for my action plan is to continue my knowledge of the North Carolina teacher evaluation tool. We, in our orientation, specifically have a training on that for our beginning teachers, and I want to add my expertise and understanding into it so that I can successfully teach my staff what that tool is like and how I'm using it as an instructional leader. And then I also want to continue to be an expert and dive deeper into the look for as a new teacher support coach and what I do in my observations and making sure my teachers that I support know what that looks like and how I'm using it. Continue to use the CTE look fors also tool and reaching out to more academic areas and our other specialists, our arts department, our multilingual department, our AIG department, to get specific look for tools so that I can be a better instructional leader along with a cognitive coach. We do have set in place, I was actually put in charge of this year, to have future walkthrough observations with our academics department and encore departments, which I think will grow me as an instructional leader. And I want to, and have been given the task for the summer to revamp Moorhead Elementary, is a school that I'm interning at, their handbook that explains and guides their teachers through the North Carolina teacher evaluation tool. So these are some of my action plans that I would like to take place from the research that I did, along with my experience and the information that I've gotten from being in my internship placement currently and my current position internship placement, that will help me become a better instructional leader.